comes from nowhere, makes you wonder if you lost control, leaves you breathless, changes what you think is possible. Got me too. Brought me to you. It's got you too. Your magic's true. Your magic's true.
And as one region reflects on what has been, another gets ready to start their campaign. This is day one of regional qualifying for the HyundaiN Virtual Cup for the USA region. We had a brilliant day yesterday with Europe, but things are just getting started here stateside, and it is bound to be a brilliant one. We start in familiar territory here in Central California. It is the fabulous Laguna Seca Raceway, and it is bound to be entertaining. My name's Evan Dalton. It's a pleasure to be here with you, and joined alongside me again for today is Kieran McGinley. Kieran, very entertaining yesterday.
Very entertaining. I'm very much looking forward to getting right stuck into the action here. Laguna Seca on the US region's home soil. Let's see what the drivers have in store for us.
Yes, it is bound to be a good one. We have two preliminary races here for you tonight, folks, and then we head into our main race. The two prelim qualies and prelim races are both in Laguna Seca. But before we get in, we've got to run you through a little bit of our housekeeping rules. The HyundaiN Virtual Cup, of course, taking place here on Assetto Corsa. We will be driving the Hyundai Elantra N TC, which Kieran will tell you a little bit more about later. The total prize pool, over $100,000. And of course, this campaign was open to all. We're at stage 2, the regional qualification. Top 40 from each region will advance into the regional semi-finals and then the world final, taking place in Seoul, South Korea. The European region, of course, started yesterday on November 20th, and that turn on November 23rd. We start tonight on November 21st, and then returning on November 24th. The Korean region will then start on November 27th and November 30th, and then in China we are on November 28th and December 1st. Of course, we start with the preliminary races, qualifying of 10 minutes and then race of 15 minutes, and then we will do 2 of those and head into the main race, which will again have a 10-minute qualifying but a longer 25-minute race, and that will take place, of course, at the Autodromo Nazionale di Monza. And the point system for today's race, we start with 25 points, and it is 20, 16, 13 and 11 for 5th place, 10 for 6th, 9 for 7th, and then 6 for 10th, Then we have 5 for 11th, and all the way running down 4, 3, 2 and 1. This is for our main race, of course, with no points for those finishing from 16th to 20th. There is bonus points on offer here tonight. 2 points for the fastest lap in that race, and 3 points if you start in the first place grid slot on pole position. That is our point system for this HyundaiN Virtual Cup. But of course, we need a car and a track to drive around. I'm going to hand it over to Kieran to take you through those now.
So, Laguna Seca, where we first started here in 1957. It's 3.6 kilometers here in the heart of America, here in California. And of course, it's a FIA Grade 2 circuit with about 55 meters of elevation change, and the most important one being the corkscrew, hosting such series as IndyCar, IMSA Sports Car, Moto America, the Monterey Motorsports Reunion. Laguna Seca getting its name from the Spanish for dry lake. The area where the track now lies was once a lake, and in a short time, in the 60 odd years it's been here, there have now been 2 artificial ponds now where the circuit has been reconfigured. And the car that our drivers will have to master over the course of not only the regional qualifiers but all the way throughout is the fantastic Elantra N TC. 350 brake horsepower with a 2-litre turbo, 6-speed sequential front wheel drive. It's 0 to 100 kilometers in 4.5 seconds with a top speed of 248 kilometers per hour. This car made its debut in 2021 and has been very successful. It won its class at the Nürburgring 24 hours. It's since become a 3-time winner at the Nürburgring, a WTCR driver and team champion in 2022, and the TCR World Tour driver champion in 2023. It's become known as a symbol and a balance between performance and precision, with the Elantra N TC bringing to boot HyundaiN's motorsport dominance. And this is the machine that our drivers will have to get to grips to make sure they get everything out of this car to get themselves to the top.
Yes, it is a good little car that we have on display here, of course, put into this game, especially for the HyundaiN Virtual Cup, and it will be tackled by our drivers in our preliminary A qualifying, which is coming up now, folks. We have 15 drivers ready to battle around this Laguna Seca circuit. We're joining halfway through. We have 3 minutes and 50 seconds to go. Currently on top of the order is Michael Moning, who is looking to make an impact, 0.2 of a second ahead of Braden Werner. And then in third we do have Kurt van Uitenride, who is looking to get close. Bit of a field spread already, Kieran. A great job by Michael so far.
So far, so good. Yep, as we see on there, the number 6, Fei Wu, who's currently 10th fastest in this session, heading their way down towards the Andretti hairpin, or at least was making their way down before they decided to just sort of stop the car and head back to the pit lane. As we see Uitenride making the way, Kurt van Uitenride of Sidewinder currently in third place there. And then we see the number 53, Ricardo Rivera, representing the Puerto Rico E-Racing Club, heading the way through in towards turn 5 and onwards towards turn 6. If there's one thing, Evan, we learned from yesterday, this track, you really do need to get yourself a good qualifying position. Overtaking is tricky there, but we did see some side-by-side action at one corner that this track is very, very famous for, the corkscrew. And you see there Ricardo Rivera of the Puerto Rico E-Racing Club, 35 years of age and on the stage now to get into action here at the USCA Regional Qualifiers.
Yes, Ricardo Rivera, as Kieran said, from Puerto Rico, raced in the SRO Esports America. Got his top 12 racing in the Ferrari Esports Challenge in this American region. A driver to contend with, and one who we look forward to seeing here this evening. But just to emphasise further on your point, Kieran, you really have to nail this qualifying. Overtaking was at a premium yesterday, and I imagine it's going to be something similar here tonight. With Michael Moning that far out on top, we expect him to be very much the race leader, the pace setter here tonight. And with 2 minutes to go in qualifying, he's in a different stratosphere. At the moment
in time, yes, Michael Moning of Samantha Tan Racing, as you say, nearly 4/10 clear right now of Braden Werner in the number 29 machine. As we ride on board and through the corkscrew we go with our current pole sitter in Michael Moning through his way in towards turn 10 and then onwards now towards turn 10 I should say, before you size up turn 11 one more time. But with only less than 90 seconds to go, you see Michael backing out of that lap at least, creating a bit of space out on track before he goes one more time to try and set a new faster lap.
We're looking at the number 12 of Jordan Johnson from Aurora, Ohio, and he is looking to be in the top 10 and advance into the main race. Remember, top 10 will advance, folks, and then we'll have 20 in the main race come later on. Currently in 7th is Jordan Johnson, best lap of the session on his last lap with a 128.920. He's looking to challenge the likes of Ricardo Rivera and of Kepona Patrick in front. You can see Michael, or Jordan I should say, just on your screen heading through the final hairpin. Less than 30 seconds to go here in session. If you start a lap now, you will have enough time to finish it. There is a 2-minute overlap running here. Jordan Johnson, great lap up to 3rd spot, way higher up the order, and that could come the end of the race.
Could be critical here just to make sure you get those lap times in there, but yeah, it's going to take a lot. It's going to take a mega lap to try and knock Michael Moning off that top spot there, as Moning has now made his way back into the pit, so that is qualifying done and dusted. Looks like the same there for Braden Werner as well for WSR Esports, as we watch on then with 6th place driver in Quapono Patrick from Sim Racing Alliance making the way through in towards the corkscrew. Such a brilliant corner there. You're not quite sure of the apex until you actually are halfway through of the corner. Only then do you realise you've got the car in either the right or the wrong place.
Yes, it's a beautiful corner, that corkscrew section. Of course, the 59-foot drop initially through turn 8, but by the time you get down to the end of the rainy curve, it's about 109 foot overall. So it is absolutely impressive and a brilliant piece of racing circuit. That is qualifying done for Patrick then. He will conclude the session in 6th place. Jordan Johnson through the first once again. He's been dumped down to 4th. That's Kurt Van Uitenrooy, who's able to improve to 3rd position. So 5/10 off pole position for Kurt, but a 2nd row start nonetheless. Can he be dethroned by Jordan, whose pace has just picked up the session across the line? Oh, it's utterly close for Jordan Johnson, but he won't be able to get ahead of Van Uitenrooy here in session. Here is the 5th place runner. This is Tyler Limsnuken, who is able to is able to improve, I should say, but not position wise. This is Shane Ross across the line. He'll remain in 10th. There's Kyung Hoon Kim across to conclude his session. Again, no improvement, not a lot of time being found. Can Drew find a little bit of time? No, he can't, as that's the end of the.
Yeah, end of qualifying, so I'll try to, unpack all of that. We'll make sure that qualifying gets the start of the story started. We'll see how that all affects our racing grid, but Evan, qualifying grid's confirmed for us for the first race of the day.
Yes, and on pole position is Michael Moning, who with a dominant display in that qualifying session, I have to say. Braden Werner then in 2nd. He lines up just ahead of Kurt Van Uitenrooy on the 2nd row in 3rd. Jordan Johnson then in 4th, with Tyler Limsnuken in 5th place, ahead of Quapono Patrick. Then there was a recon of Ricardo Rivera in 7th, with Brad Lane in 8th. Aaron Berkey will then start in 9th, with Drew Swank alongside him in 10th. Shane Ross lines up in 11th, with Feiyu Wu in 12th position. Then it's Kwang Hoon Kim in 13th, is just ahead of Jonathan Bustos in 14th. And then rounding us off here for the first preliminary heat is Alexandro Vielma. And field spread here, Kieran, but I think it could be a little bit closer in the race.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, 1 lap pace is very, very important, but the drivers have to remember these races upcoming will test the racecraft now. As we saw in Europe yesterday, you've got to make sure that, yes, you're setting those fast lap times, but if you've got to make some overtakes through the field, you have to have your wits about you to make those overtakes stick and make sure you get up some positions. Of course, you have to make your way into the top 10, so if you're within that top 10, the pressure eases off. If you're towards the top of the order, yeah, you get a little bit of pressure relieved off your shoulders. But as we saw yesterday, that battle for the top 10 can get very spicy very quickly.
So, winning this race, yes, it does mean you will be competitive in the main race. There's no points on offer. Just have top 10 and advance to the next stage of action. And that's where the real battle to watch here will be. It'll be for that 10th place. And that was certainly a spicy one, as Kieran said earlier. Just to remind you, pole position, Michael Moning of Samatha Racing Esports, 19 years of age, but a lot of sim racing experience for the number 18. He was, 2024 SRO IGTC Silver Champion, and he also raced in the Logitech G Challenge back last year. Second place is Brandon Werner. Of course, it's another American representing WSR Esports. He was the 2022 IVRA Clubman Sports Series champion. And let's see how they contend down towards the Andretti hairpin as we go racing for the first time here in the US region. For Michael Moning, decent launch for Braden Werner alongside him as well. And see the number 54, that is Tyler Lim-Snooken, looking for a move down and towards the first corner. A little bit of a nudge between him and the number 12 of Jordan Johnson, but we're all safely through.
Yeah, so far so good then as we watch on. Fei Wu trying to go around the outside but runs a little bit wide now onto the sand and might get eaten up a couple of positions there from cars further back. But a good start then from Michael Moning and already trying to pull off a little bit of a lead here. A little bit of a commanding lead at this stage. It's Braden Werner in second place, and then rounding off the top three right now is Jordan Johnson. There's the 88 going down the inside. That's Drew Swank down the inside of Brad Lane, I believe, now as they make their way through in towards turn 5. Onwards then they go towards turn 6, and still they run side by side, but Drew Swank manages to get ahead there of Brad Lane.
Yes, in case you didn't know, it was Drew Swank. He's got the swankracing.com livery on his Hyundai Elantra, and he's looking to make some moves through the corkscrew for the first time then in prelim Heat A. We're looking at Drew Swank just heading through the rainy curves now and looking to make moves. But brilliant race start for Michael Moning. He's up and away and is already the early pace setter. Braden Werner and Jordan Johnson getting through the first corners in second and third. Then it's this man, Tyler Lim-Snooken, in the distinct number 54 car. He is looking to make an impact and try and hunt down this top three as the gaps are coming on your screen for the first time. A whopping 2-second lead for Michael Moning.
Yeah, Michael Moning in the groove now as he looks to try and extend that gap. What he'll be hoping now is for the likes of Werner here to try and do some defending and cost the rest of the pack a little bit of time further down the field as we watch on then with Tyler Lim-Snooken as it makes his way through in towards turn 3, onwards towards turn 4. And then we look backwards now on board with Drew Swank as we make our way through now in towards turn 4 with Brad Lane in the 99 right behind, right for close company. And then rounding off the top 10 right now is Kyung-Hoon Kim, and that's an all-important spot there for top 10. We've seen drivers make mistakes at some point in the race, at some point towards the end of the race as well, costing them places inside the top 10. You've just got to make sure you keep your wits about you, you keep the car on the track, keep it on the tarmac, and you should be heading in the right direction. But this should be a great battle between Drew Swank and Brad Lane. They've been battling since the start of this race, and it looks like they're not holding up, they're not letting up anytime soon.
Yeah, Brad Lane braking a lot later than Drew Swank heading into the corkscrew. This is Ricardo Rivera, who we are on board with, currently in 6th place, trying to chase down Quapono Patrick in front of him. Only about 4:10 separating these two. Just in front of them then, of course, is Tyler Lim-Snooken and the top 3 in front. But the crucial place you are looking for is held by Kyung-Hoon Kim in 10th position, and just behind him is Fei Wu. So they're both going to be scrapping and battling, looking for that advancement position. Michael Moning's gap at the front of this order did decrease slightly, Kieran. It's well under the 2-second mark now.
Yeah, and it's all because, really, that Braden Werner has managed to break away himself from that battle for 3rd place, so created a gap behind him. Now he can focus on putting in some decent lap times to try and catch Michael Moning up at the top of the order, and so this has now become a battle for 3rd place. Jordan Johnson's got a little bit of a gap, maybe about 2 to 3 car lengths between himself and Tyler Lim-Snooken in the 54 there, and Quapono Patrick following close behind as we make our way through in towards turn 5, up towards turn 6 there. Quapolo Patrick, perhaps looking for a move down the inside, maybe rather filling the mirrors of Lim Snooken up ahead. And as they now make their way up to the top of the corkscrew before they descend their way down, it's as you were, Lim Snooken ahead of Patrick.
Yeah, Quapolo Patrick looking to make a little bit of an impact and looking to get our real first battle underway here in Prelim A. Remember, of course, we'll do this exact same format in Prelim B, where we'll have another 15 drivers looking to contend. Currently, it is still Michael Moning in the race lead. Second place is Braden Werner, and then third goes to Jordan Johnson. Then there's the man we're looking at now, Tyler Limsnuken, who is in fourth, ahead of Quapolo Patrick in fifth, Ricardo Rivera in sixth, ahead of Kurt van Uitenrooy in seventh, Drew Swank then in eighth, Brad Lane ninth, ahead of Kyung Hoon Kim in 10th. Those are the 10 advancing as it currently stands. We still have 10 minutes to go, however, and anything can still change.
It really can, as we ride on board here then with Kurt van Uitenrooy in the Sidewinder, represented Hyundai Elantra N TC, as we make our way now through in towards turn 4. Van Uitenrooy trying to chase down Ricardo Rivera in that number 53 machines. It's a decent gap between themselves and 8th place, where we saw the likes of Drew Swank and Brad Lane battling away for position for a place in 8th place, and that all-important 10th place to book your place into the main race tonight at Monza will be looking the way of Hoon Kim there in the number 44, Kyun Hoon Kim. Oh, just getting a little bit tail happy there on the exit of turn 6. It's those kind of mistakes you need to iron out at this stage. Fei Wu might have seen that in the distance, and that might be dangling a carrot. Again, the back end stepping out there on Kyun Hoon Kim, and that's all just inviting Fei Wu to apply that pressure even more. That's pressure that Hoon Kim did not need to put on themselves.
Yeah, that is a real confidence booster for Fei Wu as well, when they see the car in front, real slidey, real stepping over the mark and feeling the pressure behind. It invites you to overtake, and I think he just has. Fei Wu promoting himself to 10th, and Kwon Hyun Kim having some issues heading down towards the Andretti hairpin, so that crucial place has changed, and Kim struggling here in the opening phases.
Yeah, but it's not over yet though. Still have 8.5 minutes left on the clock. There is Fei Wu, who's now up into 10th place, and that is that really important top 10 position then, as we'll watch on, see if Kyung Hoon Kim can recover that 10th place, because it was almost like the curse of the commentator. We put the camera on poor Hoon Kim at that point, and it all started to unravel slightly, so I feel like we're partially to blame, but we'll see what happens. Hoon Kim still has 8 minutes to see if he can get back the 10th place that he earned.
The gaps spacing out a little bit with 8 minutes to go. Still Michael Moning of Samatha Racing Esports in front, ahead of Braden Werner of WSR Esports in second position, with Jordan Johnson in third. The real action coming a little bit further back in the field. Closest fight on circuit between Drew Swank and Brad Lane in the battle for 8th position. And we've seen those two battling for quite some time. For these front guys, Kieran, I suppose it's important to not lose their concentration. They're in a very comfortable position, I should say, and it would be easy to nod off.
Yeah, a nod off might be a little bit of a looser term for it, as we see Lim Snooken trying to put the pressure on Johnson. Jordan Johnson in the number 12, feeling the pressure for that battle for 3rd place. But you're right, it's more of a case of a loss of concentration. These drivers are putting in these good lap times, and 15 minutes will fly by if you're in your rhythm, if you're in the zone. But for some of these drivers, in fact for most of these drivers, yeah, you want the place in the top 10, but also you want that position ahead of you, regardless of what's on the line, what's at stake here. You do want that position up ahead of you, and yeah, maybe towards the end of the race drivers might have a different feeling towards that, but if there's a position to be had, you better believe these drivers will want that position.
Yeah, and we saw a little bit of that yesterday in the European region. Of course, we were talking to one of our successful drivers there in the form of Rafael Schotteschek, Dominic Blair, and he was saying, yeah, I want to win. Even though I'm almost through to the semi-final, I still want to win. It's a racing driver's instinct. And that instinct is kicking in a little bit here. On the picture-in-picture, you can see Jordan Johnson below, and then the opponent camera, and that is Tyler Limsnuken, who are both looking to battle here. Johnson in the 12, Limsnuken in the 54, and Limsnuken just looking to tee up his move in through the final corner. Real overtaking opportunity down towards the Andretti hairpin, and he's tucked in behind the Elantra in front. 250 horsepower on display for each of these machines. No move in towards the first corner for the time being, however. Limsnuken getting the worst of the two exits.
Yeah, at the moment though, Jordan Johnson trying to get the power down in these front-wheel drive machines, trying to use the most of that 350 brake horsepower he's got under his right foot as we make our way onwards and upwards. Watch out though for Corpono Patrick, who's trying to put the pressure as well on Tyler Limsnuken as we make our way out of turn 4 on the run towards turn 5. This trio here having a good battle for third place, just keeping each other on their toes at this point. Sometimes if you don't want to feel like you want to make the pass, you instead apply the pressure and see if that works. But the trio here doing well to sort of resist the pressure from each other. They've also got to watch out as well that their battling doesn't let them be reeled in by the likes of Ricardo Rivera, but I don't think Limsnuken is worried about that too much, looking to see if he can find a way past Jordan Johnson in towards the corkscrew, but perhaps just applying that pressure now. We ride on board with Corpono Patrick looking on this battle for third place.
Yeah, we haven't seen a recreation of the Zanardi move just yet in towards the corkscrew. I thought Tyler Limsnuken was going to have a go. Put it there. Once again, weaves out of line and just looking for that overtake, but no joy to be found there. He's still tucked up behind Jordan.
Still at the moment, might have lost a little bit of time out of the final corner as well, as Limsnuken again maybe thinking about a move in towards the Andretti hairpin, but knows he just has to stay behind for now. He's got his place inside this top 10. The last thing you want to do is throw it away in a battle where you don't need to battle for that position. We watch on Jordan Johnson then in the number 12, making the way through in towards turn 4, with Tyler Limsnuken just following behind for now, ready to apply that pressure, ready to pick up the pieces. In the background there you can see a battle for 6th place unfolding. Ricardo Rivera holding on to 6th place ahead of Kurt von Altenried for 7th place, and we were watching on for that battle for 10th place, and that gap hasn't really come down, but Hyun Kim is still within that sort of 1.5 seconds, 1.6 seconds, so still in with a shot, still in with a chance to try and reel in that 10th place position.
Still in with a shot, but probably needs to get a bit of a move on. Not long left in this race, 3 minutes and 20 seconds plus whatever time we run over to complete the last lap, and Kyung-Hoon Kim is going to have to get a move on if he wishes to advance. It is still Michael Moning up in front, but the real battle here now, in the battle for third really, Jordan Johnson all the way down to Kurt van Uitenried. It's fairly close, the top three just extending and stretching their legs a little bit for the time being. The 54 though, still looking racy. Here we go, move on our hands. This is the 5, this is Alexander Vielma, who is looking for the move on number 6. Oh no, sorry, that's Kurt, who is overtaking Ricardo Rivera for 6. The wrong number I think is Kurt, but that is in fact him who is in 6th place.
Yeah, keeping us on our toes for sure. But Von Altenried then up into 6th place ahead now of Ricardo Rivera. There, though, is our race leader in the correct number, Michael Moning, in the number 18. Not willing to catch us out, but certainly looking to just provide us with that pace that he showed in qualifying. He was nearly 4 tenths clear of anybody else in qualifying earlier on as he makes his way through in towards the corkscrew then. And then we make our way through in towards that sweeping left-hander of turn 9. Great camera shot there. We watch on for Michael Moning then, and it's going to be I think we're going to have 2 more laps to watch on here for Michael Moning. We'll see what the time left is as we cross the line, but we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, and actually a no-show in this heat from Alexander Vielma and Shane Ross. I think Shane Ross had some problems when joining the server for the race, so we'll get an update for you on that, folks, as time goes on. But for the time being, minute and 30 left. That could be 2 more laps here, potentially. Depends how Michael Moning races this one. But these guys are looking racy in the backpack. This is number 59 of Quapono Patrick, once again looking to try and attack Tyler Limsnuken, the 2 drivers in the 50s. Both trying to improve upon their position. Jordan Johnson just extending the margin a little bit over Limsnuken, so he might be safe to the finish, but it's never too early to call, especially around such a difficult track.
Yeah, it's a very technical circuit.
Sorry, Kieran, I was going to say we can just see a little bit of a gap between the two, not as close as they were in the first sector.
Not as close, but still, you know, drivers have to consider at this stage, is it really worth an extra position at this stage to make your way through? Off screen though, Hoon Kim has managed to find a way past Wu then for that 10th place position, so something might have happened to Wu because he had about a 1.5 second lead at that point, but yeah, still that battle for 10th place, so important. We're talking about, you know, once you're in that top 10 position, you've just got to make sure you iron out those mistakes, make sure you don't, you know, leave yourself vulnerable to a little bit of pressure. And both drivers have had their fair share of pressure today.
Yeah, so they've really been the cause of their own demise, haven't they, in that battle for 10th? We saw the initial mistake from Hoon Kim, and now we're seeing a mistake from Wu. But last lap of the race, Michael Moning brings us on to now, and you can see him there on the picture-in-picture. Once again, just looking composed and making sure he brings this one home to the finish. And absolutely no issues in this race whatsoever from Moning. He's been lapping quicker than some qualifying laps even in this race. And Braden Werner, a great race from him as well. Really good race from all the top guys, and they will advance, of course, to our main race coming up this evening.
Absolutely, as Quapono Patrick then making the way through in towards and out of turn 4. Still, we've had a good battle for P3 here. It's been quite tactical here. The drivers might have held back a little bit because they know they're in that top 10. They don't need to do anything silly at this stage. That didn't stop Limsnuken getting and trying a position on that front. But yeah, like you said earlier on, these are races and you're not going to stop them from racing.
Yes, absolutely, and we will get more racing in our Prelim B and in our main race coming up in Monza, but they're running through the corkscrew for the final time, and it is going to be Michael Moning who will soar to the top in Prelim A, and he never really looked flustered at any point. It's been a cool drive from Michael Moning. There'll be no complaints, that's for sure. Up and across the line to take the first win here, the HyundaiN Virtual Cup in the USA region. He beats Braden Werner to the finish, and Werner comes home in second, with Jordan Johnson eventually taking third. We saw it very close between himself, Tyler Limsnuken and Quapono Patrick, but they all finish as they started.
Yes, and it's never quite as easy as reading off like that. Oh, when they finish how they started, it's never quite that simple. We had some good racing, good battling out on track as well, but I think some sensible ideas from the drivers here that they know once they're in the top 10, there was no need to take any unnecessary risks.
Yeah, a lot of risk management really in that one, a lot of race management. There wasn't, I suppose, the need for speed as much as we would usually see from these guys. They were all top drivers. They all know how to race and how to win races. But one man can only win a race, and on this case, it was the fabulous Michael Moning.
Yes, Michael Moning putting in a great stint there, and it just drove away from the rest of the field. It was incredible there, as Michael Moning did take the win, and Braden Werner. Again, Braden, we didn't see a lot of Braden in that race, but once those first couple of laps got under his belt, he was able to pull away from the likes of Jordan Johnson and Tyler Limsnuken, Quapono Patrick, and able to just run his own race to finish in second place there. So normally if you don't have that sort of screen time, if we don't notice you, but you're running up in a high position, it's fairly likely you've done everything you've needed to do.
Yeah, exactly. We didn't see Braden Werner once past the first lap, I don't think, but in this scenario, I don't think that is a bad thing. I think if you can just get your way through very level-headed, you get the job done. But just to confirm the full race results for you folks, it was Michael Moning who took the race win. Second place for Braden Werner with Jordan Johnson in third, Tyler Limbs-Nukin. Then in fourth, ahead of Quapono Patrick. In fifth, Kurt Van Reed. In sixth, ahead of Ricardo Rivera. In seventh, Brad Lane managed to take eighth place with Drew Swank. In ninth, with Fei Yu Wu coming home in 10th. So once again, a swap on the last lap. Those are the 10 that are advancing for the time being. That will change depending on stewards' communications. Those not advancing is Aaron Berkey, Kwong Hoon Kim, and Jordan Bustos. And we have to get confirmation on what happened to the two other drivers. But still a lot left for the imagination at Laguna Seca, I think, Kieran, and hopefully Prelim B can provide that.
Yeah, I think Prelim A has shown us that we've got some drivers here that have got some good pace and at this early stage are being quite sensible. We didn't quite see that in Europe yesterday. We saw quite a few side-by-side moments, an attempted move in towards the corkscrew. It was a lot less chaotic in this first US race. We'll see how the Prelim B race gets underway, but if we can take Prelim A from anything, it's that these drivers know that once they make it into the top 10 and they can build those gaps, there's no need to try anything silly. Just book your spot to Monza and be done with that.
Yes, absolutely. Those 10 are into Monza. We will decide another 10 here in Prelim B, and this one's kind of a mixed bag in terms of who you think is going to win it. We have some good names on the grid. Zach Doran stands out as well. There's plenty of other drivers racing for some top teams, and again, just like the first prelim, qualifying going to be very important for these guys.
So important. I mean, we showed you there that the qualifying result and the race result were one and the same pretty much in the top 10. So it's really important that you get that qualifying position under your belt. Prelim A has just told us that, has just shown us that. So if there's any more incentive, not that the drivers needed one, to get that highest position possible in qualifying for Prelim B, that's the one you need. It's shown that once you get into that position, again, these drivers, or at least in Prelim A, were not willing to take any unnecessary risks. The higher up the order you can qualify, the better your chances of getting through. And that sounds like a really obvious statement, but in the heat of battle, in the heat of the adrenaline running through you, it's easy to forget that.
Yeah, it's easy for the drivers to forget to sort of take it back a step and not push as much, because we saw the deciding factor on advancing or not, especially in the race between Fei Yu Wu and Kwong Hoon Kim, was mistakes. If you make your own mistakes, you make it very difficult for yourself to advance, and that was the deciding factor on this occasion.
It was, yeah, and it was the fact that Fei Yu Wu and Kwong Hoon Kim both made mistakes at different points on the track as well. So again, inviting that pressure onto yourself where other drivers can try and take full advantage of that is one thing you want to keep to a minimum. And it sounds easy, but when you're in that pressure scenario, that high pressure cooker scenario, you've just got to make sure that you keep everything under wraps. And even if you crawl your way into the top 10, you've made it into the top 10. No one can take that away from you, and you've booked your place into the main race.
And we're looking now at the Andretti hairpin just before we head into qualifying. Obviously, there's a reason myself and yourself aren't racing here, Kieran. But if we were drivers, would you consider that the best overtaking opportunity on the circuit?
Definitely one of the best. If you were mad, and we have seen some mad drivers try and move in towards the corkscrew, you'll join a strong list of contenders like Alexander Zanardi for one thing. But I would say yes, that's probably your best chance of making an overtake, purely because the tight nature of turn 11 makes it difficult to make an overtake there. But if you can nail the apex out of that final corner, it's a long run through turn 1 and towards the Andretti hairpin. And moves at the Andretti hairpin almost always start with the exit from turn 11. Nail that, you've got yourself a good run down towards turn 2.
And we are looking at the number 10 of Zach Doran rounding through the final corner. He will get qualifying underway for us here. Now, we have had another little bit of drama from the earlier prelim, as stewards' communication just coming through to us that Fei Yu Wu has actually picked up a 5-second time penalty for an incident for avoidable contact with Aaron Berkey. So We will see if that bumps Aaron Berkey in or not. That will be decided and confirmed to us later on tonight. But for the time being, Zach Doran, well, quickest by 10 seconds, but they are all out laps, folks. Proper laps only getting underway now. We see Zach Doran heading down the straight towards turn number 5.
Yep, and turning in here, getting the power down then in these front-wheel drive cars out of turn 5 and onwards then we go towards turn 6. Yeah, we've seen California has given us some great racing action so far, and Doran setting the early pace, of course, setting one of the first fast laps of the qualifying session. 38.9 is going to be the time to beat at this point, with other drivers just setting out laps at this stage. And we see then Doran make their way through in towards that sweeping left-hander of turn 9 before sizing up turn 10, that sweeping right-hand corner where you get a little bit of undulation that favours the car, a bit of a banking towards the apex before you then make your way in towards turn 11. A tight left-hander, got to be very careful with the curves there. And take them too aggressively, you will lose momentum. But that Zach Doran makes his way across the line to complete another lap of qualifying for himself.
Yes, the racer for Visceral Esports, and another man racing in the Ferrari Esports Series America is Zach Doran. And obviously, he's looking to wheel it around Laguna Seca very successfully tonight in the HyundaiN Virtual Cup. If you need more information about the HyundaiN Virtual Cup, of course, you can check out our official website. As the timing tower reappears, it is evident that Zach Doran is the pace setter, 0.3 of a second ahead of Nicholas Iverson in second place. And it's Thomas Toomey who is in third, just 0.4 adrift. Just heading into fourth there now is Sebastian Baez in the number 22. Just behind him is Eric's Flassbowler in fifth, but a little bit off, and then the rest of the guys not getting proper times on the board just yet. But Zach Doran, very nice early pace, Kieran.
Very nice early pace indeed, and something to take forward in terms of confidence for the rest of the session and of the rest of the race as well, as of Paul Verboenen now goes up to 5th fastest, just over a second off of the pace setter at the moment. But of course we still have just over 5 minutes of qualifying left, so a handful of laps for our drivers then to make sure they get the best possible performance out of the Elantras here and get themselves as high up the order as possible, as we see Thomas Toomey make the way through in towards the corkscrew in towards turn 9. We go currently 3rd fastest in the number 66.
Yes, currently 3rd fastest and running a fairly unique version of this Elantra. I don't think we've seen the gold much on display. We've seen a lot of pink, a lot of red, a lot of white, and a few custom liveries along the way. But Thomas Toomey clearly with the gold medal in sight, running the gold livery. We said Zach Doran was the pace setter. He's just been pipped. Nicholas Iverson in the 48 Sidewinder car managing to go quickest. There's a little bit of a drift on the main straight there from Eric Flassbowler. So we can see the 5th place runner currently heading round. This is Paul Verboenen, who's looking to improve upon his time. 1 second off the pace for the time being, but the early laps don't mean too much here at Laguna Seca. It takes you a little bit of time to find a groove. Verboenen looking to improve upon his laps. Let's see him head towards the start-finish line now. And where is it for Paul Verboenen? No improvement, it seems.
Not this time, but you can see there Paul absolutely locked in on this qualifying session, isn't he? I just love that steely determination in these drivers' eyes. So we shall see if that determination can reflect in an improvement in track position, at least for qualifying. I mean, he's only got 8/1000th of a second to find if he wants to get 4th place away from Sebastian Baez. So pretty close for that battle to get onto the 2nd row of the grid.
Yeah, we saw a bit of a field spread as Zach Doran is able to improve by 0.073 ahead of Nicholas Iverson to go top of the order. We saw a big field spread in Prelim A, Kieran. It's probably a little bit bigger here in Prelim B, actually. But the good thing is, so far, we only have 10 cars out on track, which means they all would qualify.
There is that, yes, and if that is the case, then yeah, you could have drivers just make sure they make it to the line. But Zach Doran then taking back that pace setting time and just quickly goes back to the pits after that. Nearly a 1 minute 29 flat there, and takes back that provisional pole position away from Nicholas Iversen. We're watching Paul Verboenen then in the number 16, rounding the final corner, and the charge up towards the line then. Is this going to be an improvement for Verboenen as he'll make his way across the line? Wait and see on the timing screen. I don't think it was on that occasion, so stays 5th fastest there, as there is Nicholas Iversen making the way now through in towards turn 4, ready to see if he can take back that provisional pole position.
Yes, a circuit here at Laguna Seca, of course, that originates all the way back to the Pebble Beach races of 1950s. Some drivers, if they run a little bit wide through this section of the track, would compare it to Pebble Beach. It's very sandy, and you're not getting back onto the racing surface very quickly, and that's a little bit of foreshadowing as Nicholas Iversen dips a couple wheels on the runoff of turn number 6 up the the Bobby Rahal straight, I should say. His son Graham Rahal, of course, still racing in the IndyCar series, and down through the corkscrew, Nicholas Iversen looking to once again beat Zach Doran. Doran heading to the pit lane and straight back out of it. Iversen focused and going for a longer qualifying run. Improvement further down the field from Charlie Ewing, who is able to jump up to 7th spot, just ahead of Eric Flashbowler. But here is Nicholas Iversen rounding for the final corner. Don't think he is going to improve after that little dip into the sandy stuff on the exit of turn number 6, but will he prove me wrong? No, it doesn't seem to be. Will stay in 7th. This is Jesse Hoffett on the Money Shift 64 car, currently in 5th place.
Yeah, 5th place, improved position a couple of minutes ago to get up to the 3rd row of the grid, as whoa, taking that sleeping policeman there on the inside of turn 6 to full extent there to unsettle the car. And what I love about front wheel drive cars is if you lose the rear end, you just have to mash the throttle down, full throttle, to spin up the front wheels, get the traction at the front end, and make sure the back end stays in check. But we see Jesse Hoffart then make the way through in towards turn 10. Through that right-hander, avoiding that little bit of a raised curb on the inside on that occasion, and then through in towards the final corner. Currently 5th fastest, and very close in pace to Paul Verboenen right behind. 5/1000ths of a second separate them, and that's how you know these drivers are taking it seriously. The VR headset and all, I believe that is for Jesse Hoffa, still 5th fastest at this moment in time.
Yeah, it's a very unique but very enjoyable feature of these front wheel drive cars, is that you can just mash the throttle. I remember a good friend of mine, when you'd be struggling with a front wheel driven car, you're like, what can I do? How can I stop spinning so much? And the response, just accelerate. It makes for some brilliant photos as well. A lot of motorsport photographers absolutely love it, as we can see Charlie just rounding into the corkscrew. Now this corner also makes for great photos, as that almost made for a bit of a collision.
That was a big of a moment there. Took a little bit too much track there. Nicholas Iversen, meanwhile, goes top of the standings then, and just having a look and see if we can see if Charlie Ouyang is actually running on a keyboard. Maybe, I don't know. It looked I couldn't see a wheel in that one, but determined or not, he's still 7th fastest right now. But Nicholas Iversen, first driver into the 1 minute 28. Zach Doran in the pits, so cannot respond to that one. Let's see what Jesse Hoffart can do then. Currently 5th fastest.
Yeah, in all honesty, I thought that was the wrong camera put up, because that was a very unique sim rig. very, very unique compared to some of the stuff. But that is going to be qualifying for Prelim B, and it was a bit of a battle between Zach Doran and Nicholas Iversen, but we'll see if that can transfer into the race.
Yeah, so Nicholas Iversen then, first driver and only driver in essence, made it into the 1 minute 28 with Zach Doran alongside. That should be a very good front row, Evan.
Yes, it is. It is Nicholas Iversen who takes pole position ahead of Zach Doran in second. Zach actually complaining about a bit of blocking in qualifying, it seems. Thomas Toomey will line up in 3rd ahead of Sebastian Baez in 3rd. Then it is Jesse Hoffart in 5th position with Paul Verboenen in 6th. 7 then goes to what we believe is our resident keyboard user, Charlie Ewing, in 7th. And then it is Eric Flashbowler lining alongside him on the I was going to say the 8th row of the grid, but it is the 4th row of the grid. Then in 9th place, it is Jonathan Moyer alongside Arika Yumachi in 10th. Then we have Rosen in 11th, that's beside John Ross in 12th, and then it is Ronald Zares in 11th position. Sunkara will line up then Sunkara will line up in 14th position, I should say. And finally, rounding out the grid is Silvio Mancone in 15th. So we do in fact have 15 runners. It's not going to be as simple as finishing the race and qualifying.
Yes, so long as they take the start, because that showed me there that they didn't set a qualifying lap time. So as long as they start the race, yes, we'll have drivers looking over their shoulders if they're in that just outskirts of the top 10. Yeah, that should be a great battle for the top 2 there, between the top 2, because there was about a 10th, maybe 2 tenths separating them. But how about that battle for 4th and 5th place? Paul Verbunen will be right on the back of his fellow driver Jesse Hoffart to try and take away that position. 5 1,000ths of a second separated them in qualifying. I imagine then not much is going to separate them in the race upcoming.
At least we can hope so. We hope it's a very close contest. We hope there's a lot of close battling in what is our final race here on day 1 of the HyundaiNVirtualCup US Regional Qualifiers. We will, of course, have the main race coming up later this evening in Monza, I should say. And then, of course, we return for the US Regional Qualifications for day 2 on Sunday evening. But that is in the future. We're getting ready for a very entertaining Prelim B race here. Once again, folks, all remains the same. Top 10, you advance. Lower than 10th. Sorry, good night.
Yes, at least for that one. You'll have to wait until next time to see what you can do. But we're not too far away now from getting this race underway then, with Zach Doran looking to try and see what he can do, see if he can get ahead then of Nicholas Iverson on that front row. But Evan, it's time to go racing again tonight.
It is alongside Zach Doran on the front row, of course. Or sorry, I should say alongside Nicholas Iverson on the front row is Zach Doran. Iverson gets us underway as we go racing for the second time here in Laguna Seca. That's a brilliant race start for Verbunen off the second row, and he might be looking to challenge the front 2 down towards turn number 1. But Nicholas Iverson getting away well. You can see a bit of movement here. That's the number 16 of Paul Verbunen, looking for the outside in the 64 of Jesse Hoffart. So Hoffart getting away very well indeed. Still up front is the number 40, or sorry, I should say still up front is Nicholas Iverson, and just ahead of course, Zach Doran. We had no one losing out too much time for the first corner. All 15 still on course to fight here as they head down towards turn number 5.
Yeah, keeping an eye on those battles further down as well, as we're watching on with the number 66 of Thomas Toomey in 3rd place right now. But right behind him, Sebastian Baez in the number 22. We're almost trying to go side by side as we make our way onwards towards turn 5 in these early stages. As we watch on then, Thomas Toomey make the way up the hill and up the Rahal Straight and up towards the corkscrew.
Corkscrew for the first time. We're looking at the 66 of Thomas Toomey rounding down there. No, too wide in the background. We have had someone make an overtake here through the corkscrew at Laguna Seca, I should say, as they drive down through the rainy curve. Race leader still Nicholas Iverson as they head into the final hairpin. We'll have a full confirmation of the movers and shakers as they cross the start-finish line here on the opening lap. Good race start for Jesse Hoffart as well. He's got away well, but it is Nicholas Iverson who leads. Zach Doran in 2nd, Thomas Toomey in 3rd. Brilliant race start for Sebastian Baez. He's up to 4th ahead of Hoffart.
Yeah, brilliant start from Baez then. Put his car in exactly the right places in those early stages and has got himself up into 4th place then. We watch on then. This is Josh Ross in the number 25, looking to try and find a way past the car ahead of him, Eric Flaspola, as we watch on then for Josh Ross. looking to apply that pressure through in towards turn 4 we go. Good battle developing here for 6th place, and look at this, all over the back of Flaspola is Ross then, has managed to find the inside line. Can he take the inside line in towards turn 5 then? Yes, because Flaspola has run very deep in towards the corner then, and will lose a lot of positions there, as he might actually fall outside of the top 10. We'll have to keep an eye on those standings, but Josh Ross now up a position but runs slightly wide. It's now Verbunen who's right behind us. They now make their way up towards the corkscrew.
Yeah, you could see some tyre tracks through that corner as well, so someone had a little bit of an off, just like Eric Flaspola did. He dropped down to 10th position, still in advancing position, but not a great spot to be in. Poor race start for Paul Verbunen in the number 16. He dropped down all the way to 7th and is currently hounding Josh Ross. This is Eric Flaspola, who you can see a little bit off Moyer in front, but thankfully has a nice gap behind to Sylvia Mancone. Through the final corner then, and starting lap number 3 here, 11 minutes and 40 still on the clock. The front runners remain the same, but it is very close between them. Flaspola in pink, 71, in a little bit of no man's land for the time being, but as long as he's advancing, I don't think he'll mind.
Yeah, as long as he's in the top 10, he might kick himself for that mistake. It looked like a mistake from our point of view, but he's still within the top 10, so not the end of the world for him. And we know that we've seen that Eric has had the pace to move himself up the order, so we'll keep a close eye on him and see what sort of moves he can get done in these early stages. So there was where briefly Jesse Hoffart, currently 5th place, but still a battle on our hands for the lead then. Iverson ahead of Doran, then there is Zach Doran as we make our way through out of turn 6, up the Rahal straight and towards the corkscrew of turn 7, 8 and 8A, as Iverson trying to just build that gap in these early stages. We've seen that in the previous race, of course, in the previous preliminary. Just make sure you build the gap in these early stages, relieve some of that pressure on yourself. One driver who might be feeling a little bit of pressure is Sebastian Baez, who has Jesse Hoffart behind him, about half a second separating the two.
Yes, Zach Doran proudly displaying the Star-Spangled Banner, and he is performing here in Monterey, California, in the USA Regional Qualifications of the HyundaiNVirtualCup, and looking to potentially track down Nicholas Iverson. But Iverson looking very steady. Race pace seems to be his forte, as he is leading this one by a little bit of a margin, a little bit of a swap, and I think an issue potentially for Thomas Toomey, as he's just gone dropping down the order, and I think that could be it for Thomas. Was running in 3rd place, but he's now gone off our timing screens, and Sebastian Baez has been promoted to 3rd, so that could be an awful turn of events for the 66.
Could be indeed, and that has allowed Silvio Mancone to go up into the top 10 now, so Mancone is now in that qualifying position to get into the main race. But there is now your 3rd place driver in Sebastian Baez, the number 22, with Jesse Hoffart not too far behind, and there is Baez then making his way through in towards turn 5. I love to see these drivers and their rigs and sort of the environment they're racing in. You've got a wide variety of setups here, some with the setups that have the seat locked to the ground with VR, others you've got the steering wheel on the desk. No matter the setup, it seems like the pace here is very good for Sebastian Baez. He's looking good to try and finish ahead of Jesse Hoffart, but still 9 minutes when you're behind the wheel in a preliminary race to get into Monza is still a long time.
You forgot racing on a keyboard, Kieran. Like we saw
true,
earlier.
I did. You're right.
Or like we seem to have seen earlier. Like, look, that's a very stark contrast between sim rigs of Sebastian Baez and Paul Verbunen. But whatever gets the job done, it's almost like the old adage of there's no bed like your own bed. There's no sim rig like your own sim rig.
Exactly that. Whatever feels like home, whatever feels the most comfortable, whatever you can get the most pace out of. If it works, then it's going to work for some time. And we see Paul Verbunen then trying to chase down Josh Ross then in the number 25 ahead. A battle for 5th place emerging. It's one of our closest battles, if not for the battle for the lead, which is about half a second between them. And again, it's a case of at this stage, does Zach Doran want to go for a move against Nicholas Iverson? And I mean, we heard it from yesterday in Europe. These drivers probably will be thinking about a race win, even if it's in preliminary, even if there's no points on offer, but just to get the race win will satisfy them and make sure they go into the main race with a bit of momentum behind them. But we'll come to the top two now, because there is Zach Doran, who's really close now to Nicholas Iverson, has closed in the last couple of corners over the last couple of laps for the battle for the lead in Prelim B.
Yeah, and confidence is a big thing for a racing driver, especially when you're doing back-to-back races in such close proximity like we are this evening. If you're not confident heading into that main race because you had a poor performance here in the preliminaries, you're probably going to underperform. So these drivers want to get as much confidence as humanly possible, and Zach Doran is going to try and achieve that by taking the race win off Nicholas Iverson. I thought Iverson had the better race pace, but in the last couple of laps, Zach Doran has put his head down. He's used all his experience he's picked up in his time racing for Visceral Esports, and he's looking to chase down Nicholas Iverson in front. You can see them running scarily similar racing lines. Slipstream helping Zach Doran a little bit, but Nicholas Iverson still just with the advantage.
Yeah, and track position is going to be so key at this point in the race. You've got Iverson having that advantage right now, so Zach Doran following close behind, but a little bit more speed, a little bit more confidence from Zach Doran, it seems, through turn 5 there, just to get a couple of yards on Iverson as we head away now in towards the corkscrew now. And again, as you said, very similar lines through the corkscrew there as we make our way through in towards turn 9, and there you can see the sort of lap times on display, and well, it's safe to say that on the most part they've been pretty much matched for pace, I would say, but that's why they're only separated by less than half a second, is that they have been matching each other.
Yeah, apart from the lap where Zach Doran was 1 minute and 18 seconds slower than Nicholas Iverson, but I think that could be more a graphical error than timing screen error, folks, so take that one with a slight pinch of salt. Zach Doran lapping a little bit quicker than Nicholas Iverson, but this is a good job from Iverson and from Doran so far. I mean, they're a country mile ahead of Jesse Hofford, so they're not going to be feeling bad heading into Monza if it was to remain like this, that's for sure.
No, not at this stage, and I think for these drivers, just making sure, as we've said before, as we sort of highlighted and really relayed the point as much as possible, that the fact that these drivers are in the top 10, they don't need to do anything silly at this stage, and that shows. I mean, after that first lap mayhem there, just making sure you get through the first couple of corners, don't make that mistake. We saw at Flaspola have that little bit of a moment, but is now up into 8th place and looking to try and make his way back up the order. It's a case there of a recovery drive actually, and making up a couple of positions can sort of recover that confidence you might have lost with whatever happened to Flaspola going in towards turn 5 there. There is Flaspola, who is in 8th place right now, right behind Jonathan Moyer. We haven't seen a lot of Moyer in this race, but just in 7th place right now, and at this point guaranteeing his spot to Monza.
Yes, guaranteeing the place in the main race. This is Eric Flasballer in the number 71. Just behind him, of course, is Charlie Ewing, and I can't emphasise enough how impressive it is to potentially qualify for the main race while what we believe is racing on a keyboard and mouse. I don't know even if you've ever tried to just play any sort of game on a keyboard and mouse. Obviously this isn't a game, and I've annoyed someone by saying that it is. But yeah, it's quite difficult. Is there a move here for Eric Flasballer? No, there isn't. And Jonathan Moyer will stay in front. Jonathan racing for the Arizona N Club, of course, and Eric Flasballer not representing a team here. They are running the same livery, so I'd be confused to think that they are teammates. You can see Eric Flasballer there in the bottom screen. That is Jonathan Moyer in the opponent camera. They're both laser focused, and there's a little bit of a mistake for Flasballer. Ran a little bit wide into the Andretti hairpin, but he managed to lock the wheels and just stay on the track.
It looks like there for Flasballer, I think it's on the bottom of the camera there, and you see the sort of camera vibration. You can see how much force feedback is running there to try and feel the bumps of the road, see how the car's behaving underneath him, and right now he's using all of that to try and find a way past Jonathan Moyer, and looking left, looking right, looking now down the inside, going in towards turn 5, has got the inside line and looks to try and take away, swoop down the inside and gets that position there, and Eric Flasballer now trying to defend the inside line, heading in towards towards turn 6 before taking the racing line, and Flaspola now up into 7th place. Runs a little bit wide though. That allows Moya to just say sail straight past, and Flaspola's back down to 8th place.
We emphasised yesterday in the European Regional Qualification Day 1 how the drivers all looked like robots on the camera, but you could visibly see the frustration from Eric Flaspola as he ran wide, heading onto the Ray Hall straight here with 2.5 minutes to go in Laguna Seca. Biggest gainer of the race so far. That goes to Josh Ross in the number 25. He's up 6 positions to 6th place, and as of now is gaining qualification into the main race later on this evening. Eric Flaspola has held position. Jonathan Moyer gaining 2. Will that be 1 position gain for Flaspola, 1 position gain for Moyer come the end of the race? We will have to see. I'm not necessarily saying Nicholas Iverson and Zach Doran are cruising around as of now, but I think if there was more on the line, Zach Doran will be giving it a little bit more gusto.
I think so, yeah. Both the top drivers are just making sure they settle down, they make sure they get their way into Monza. Nothing silly at this stage, and I think Zach Doran will take the fact that he's matching Iverson for race pace here and there. It stayed under a second, that gap, for quite some time now in this race, but as Iverson will make his way through the last couple of corners, it's going to be tight actually to see if we get 2 more laps or 1 more lap. So we'll wait and see. Nicholas Iverson making his way through in towards the final corner.
Yes, there's just a comment coming across our screen saying, isn't there a band called Doran? I have to just correct this one. Sorry, Kieran. No, it's Duran Duran, but we'll put that one aside. Just to confirm what happened to Thomas Toomey, he jumped the start, so that is why he's gone from contention. A simple little mistake, the first stage of the race, and that is it for your first evening of racing here in the USA region.
Yeah, it's a shame it's ended that way, but a jump start, if you violate the starting procedure, unfortunately that's the punishment there. But Zach Doran then just over a second now, so Iverson has really, it's either a case of Iverson has really just managed to keep his pace on or managed to find a little bit extra, or Zach Doran saying, do you know what, I'm happy with 2nd place at this stage, it gets me on my place in the main race, I don't have to do anything here. Flaspola and Moya, you could easily tell that this might be a battle for 10th place. I promise you it's not. Both of these two are within the top 10. Right now they're both guaranteeing themselves a spot in the Monza race later on tonight, but you could tell otherwise. Flaspola does get the move now done on Moya then, and the 71 is now back into 7th place.
Yes, brilliant move from Eric Flaspola as Nicholas Iverson rounding in towards the final hairpin. I tell you what, these two guys could coordinate this to be the last lap, but I'm not sure they will like to. Nicholas Iverson coming towards the start-finish line. Yes, this is going to be it. So Zach Doran didn't have enough time to race here, and Nicholas Iverson will come home to win Prelim B here at the HyundaiNVirtualCup USA Regional Qualification Day 1. An excellent job there for Iverson, and it seems like our top 10 is going to be in place, whether Paul Verbunen can come home in 4th instead of 5th. Sebastian Baez is going to lead us home here in the 22. Well done
solid
there. Silvio Mancone will be the last one home.
Yeah, solid support performance there from Sebastian Baez, then get a couple of positions as well. Have to say, Josh Ross, I don't think he took part in qualifying. He managed to get himself up into 6th place, so really good drive from Josh. But we're still not done with this battle for 7th place, as Moya then trying to find a way back through at the final corner, but no way through this time for Jonathan Moya. I'm looking forward to seeing those two battle their way at Monza. They gave us a great show there here at Laguna Seca.
Yeah, when we put points on the line, that one's going to be thoroughly entertaining, and I look forward to that. But that's for a few moments' time. Let's round out Prelim B first. This is going to be Silvio Mancone who will round us out. Unfortunately, wasn't to be for Akira Yamuchi right behind. It'll be a no qualification for the 96, pending, of course, Stewart's communication. But we'll have the full results in a moment. Certainly more battling than Prelim A, Kieran, which I think is nice for us.
It was, and it was a really good battle to have there at the end of the race there between Eric Flaspola and Jonathan Moya, really swapping positions, it seemed like corner after corner. So we'll see them at Monza. If they share the same bit of track there, it's pretty much going to be more of the same, please, at Monza, and I'm looking forward to that one. And of course, Nicholas Iverson, Zach Doran, head and shoulders at a really good pace they had around Laguna Seca. And whether it's a case of Zach Doran feeling he didn't need to make the move, or whether it's a case of Nicholas Iverson, his strong race pace kept him at the head of the field, in any case, those two are looking pretty good heading into tonight's main race.
Yes, they are. And just to confirm the results from this race before any stewards' communication, it is Nicholas Iverson who takes the win ahead of Zach Doran in second. Jesse Hoffer in third, with Sebastian Baez in fourth. Paul Verbunen then in fifth. Josh Roche in sixth. Eric Flaspohler then finishing in seventh ahead of Jonathan Moyer in eighth. Charlie Ewing in ninth position. Silvio Mancone in 10th. And then the non-qualifier Akira Yamuchi in 11th, and all those who bowed out earlier on, including Thomas Toomey, who had to serve a drive-through. So, prelims are over, Kieran. We have the main race to look forward to later on.
We do indeed, and it's Monza, and I'm sure we'll speak of it when we get there later down the line. But once we get into that first race, lap 1, turn 1, Rettifilio chicane, we saw a bit of madness in the European race. We'll see how our USA region drivers tackle the Rettifilio chicane on the very first lap worth of racing. We still have qualifying upcoming for them.
Yes, we have qualifying coming up in a few minutes' time, folks, but we do have a brief break to give the drivers a bit of time to practice the circuit. Jumping from Laguna Seca to Monza, they're very different, so we got to give them a little bit of time. We will be taking a break in a couple of moments, folks, but we'd like to remind you to subscribe to us here on YouTube on the HyundaiN Virtual Cup, as well as checking out the website, Discord server, and all social media channels. If you are interested in learning more about this N Virtual Cup, we'd like to thank our sponsors as well, of course, which you can see below myself and Kieran.
Been a great day so far. I've really enjoyed it so far, and we get to culminate that in a race at Monza later on today. If Europe gave us anything, it's going to be a case of making sure you get the best track position possible, because around Monza, slipstream seems to be king, and if you're able to break the toe, you've already done half a battle's worth of a job at getting yourself ahead of other drivers.
Indeed, and we will debunk qualifying and the Monza race very, very soon, folks, but we are going to take a bit of a brief break and get ready for what is bound to be fantastic action in the main race for the USA Regional Qualifications Race Day 1 here in the HyundaiN Virtual Cup. We'll see you in a few moments. And we go racing here in Italy. It's a brilliant one. But he can have some shit. Maximilian Benecke wins the first main race in the HyundaiNVirtualCup, and he's one step on his way to the regional semi-finals. 25 points to the win, 3 points for pole position. Benecke beats them all.
You might be everything I need in my life.
The preliminaries have been completed. We are travelling to Monza for the main race of the HyundaiNVirtualCup USA Regional Qualification Day 1. Your two winners, Nicholas Iverson and Michael Moning, will both be challenging the rest of the 20 here for the first 25 points haul of the USA region. It is myself, Evan Golf, and Kieran McGinley still here on your screens, and it's going to be a good one here, Kieran. I think the racing is going to be a lot better than Laguna Seca, and of course there's an added bonus of points on the line too.
Yeah, you add that tension of points on the line and make it so that, only the top 15 score those all-important points. There's now points on the line for pole position. There's points on the line for fastest lap. Of course, Evan will give you the rundown of that as we get into it. But one thing the drivers will have to be concerned with is turn 1, lap 1. We saw a bit of carnage in there in Europe yesterday. Let's see how our US regionals will get on today.
Yes, the turn 1, turn 2 complex and chicane, always a bit of a talking point here in Monza. But before we talk about any of that, and Kieran will run you through a little bit about the track later, we've got a little bit of housekeeping to run you through. Just remind you of what's at play here in the HyundaiNVirtualCup. We're racing, of course, on Assetto Corsa in the Hyundai Elantra N TC. What are we racing for? Over $100,000 in prize money. The pre-qualification stage has been completed. We are here at step 2 on our Hyundai ladder. The regional qualifications, top 40 from each region, running from November 20th to December 1st. Then the top 20 from each region will move on to the regional semi-finals, and the top 5 from each region at that will get a trip to Coliseum in Seoul, South Korea, and it is going to be a brilliant event there, but we're still a little bit away from that just yet. Europe Regional Qualification, of course, started yesterday and will return on November 23rd. The USA Regional Qualification starting tonight and once again returning on November 24th. Then it's off to Korea on November 27th and November 30th, and China on November 28th and December 1st. The format for tonight then, as always, we started with the prelim race format, 10-minute qualifying and 15-minute race. We had 2 of them at Laguna Seca. Those have been completed. We are moving on to our main race format, which is a 10-minute qualifying session and the 25-minute main race. That will hand out the points. And the point system, of course, for this main race is as follows. 25 if you manage to pick up the win, 20 for second place, and it's 16, 13 and 11 for fifth, 10 for sixth, then it's 9, 8, 7 and 6 if you manage to pick up a top 10 result, and it's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 for 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th and 15th. If you finish lower than 15th, nil point, no points for you. But there is points for the fastest lap, 2 in fact, and 3 if you manage to take pole position. Maximilian Benecke picking up the 3 pole position points yesterday in the Europe Regional Qualification around here. Who will do it tonight and in our machinery? But before that, a reminder of the prize pool: $104,000. There's 7,705 per region here for the regional semi-finals. And of course, remember, those top 20 finalists will receive an all-inclusive trip to the World Final. There is plenty on the line. Drivers' Championship, $62,000 on the line, and the Region Championship, $11,000 on the line. It is big money. There is a lot at stake, and of course, the first points that you need to earn on your way to that World Final starts here tonight at Monza. Kieran, tell us a bit about it.
Well, Monza. Built in 1922, it's highly regarded as the Temple of Speed. 5.793 of tarmac north of Milan with 11 turns, and it's that perfect mix of high-speed corners, high-speed straights with those low-speed corners as well, like the Rettifilio chicane, to really put you through your paces. And it's really hosted lots of top-class motorsport. In its current day, of course, it hosts Formula 1, the GT World Challenge Europe, and the International GT Open. And on a lap where you're expected about 70%, maybe even more, of full throttle around the entire lap. It's very important that you get the slow speed corners absolutely spot on. Otherwise, you'll be left for granted there. And we saw in yesterday's race, slipstream is going to be key in this race. If you can break the slipstream and the tow to the other drivers behind, you've got half a chance of running away. And the cars that our drivers will be driving here at the Temple of Speed is the Elantra N TC. 350 brake horsepower from a 2-litre turbo engine and a 6-speed sequential front-wheel drive machine. It's got a top speed of around 248 kilometres per hour, which will be very much put to use here in Monza. 0 to 100 kilometres an hour in 4.5 seconds. This Elantra N TC made its debut in 2021, where it's won its class at the Nürburgring 24 Hours. Since then, it's been a 3-time winner at the Nürburgring. It's had a WTCR driver and team championship in 2022 and a TCR World Tour and driver champion in 2023. Its real performance and precision and the balance between them means that it's become very much a symbol for Hyundai's N's motorsport dominance in recent years. And the top speed antics here will be used at Monza by our drivers, and a little bit of slipstream to boot as well. We've already seen how difficult it will be to overtake at Monza. Track position in pole and qualifying is going to be oh so important.
A brilliant rundown from Kieran there on this machine and its place of play, the Autodromo Nazionale di Monza. We're going to be heading into qualifying now, folks, here for the main race of tonight, and it is Michael Moning on top with 2 minutes to go. The same top two as we saw in Prelim A, Michael Moning and Braden Werner. Kurt Van Uitenried is in third, ahead of Quapono Patrick in fourth. Then it is Tyler Limsnuken in fifth. Your pole sitter from Prelim B, Nicholas Iverson, down in 8th spot as Ricardo Rivera jumps up the order. There was some problems for Zach Doran, however, and thankfully he's got into the session in 10th. Just to confirm, earlier we were talking about a potential penalty in Prelim A. The man who has got in because of that penalty is Aaron Berkey, so he returns despite initially finishing in 11th.
Yeah, and he's made good stead on his chance here. 9th place so far in qualifying, but Michael Moning clear by nearly, well, over half a second at the moment. He's really in the groove right now as we come towards the end of qualifying. And yeah, it's going to be tough to knock someone who is half a second off the top of that pedestal right now, especially when slipstream is so key around Monza. We saw this in the European regional races yesterday. We'll see once again how our US region drivers will take on and tackle Monza here. This is where we were at the US hunting ground of Laguna Seca. This very much is the European hunting ground of Monza, and maybe if you can break the slipstream, as we've said before, you've got half a chance of breaking away and making sure the others squabble behind you as well for that lovely, lovely slipstream.
Looking at Kurt Van Uitenried in the Sidewinder car, meant to be in the 51. He potentially isn't, I'm not going to out him, but that is Kurt Van Uitenried, who you are seeing there, and not Alexandro Vielma. But Van Uitenried, good qualifying so far in 4th, 0.8 of a second off this man, Michael Moning, the Samatha Racing Esports number 18 car, and we can see our driver focus there on the right hand side. He is now 20 years of age, still one of the youngest drivers in the competition. We had a few 18-year-old racers yesterday, but Michael Moning on course to pick up the first 3 points here on offer in the US region, Kieran, and it's by some margin.
Yeah, he's got one more lap as well to put on the board if he wants it as well, and already being half a second clear. Quapono Patrick now up to 3rd place as Van Uitenried has now finished qualifying. So too has Limsnuken and Johnson, 6th and 7th respectively there, as we start to decide who is going to be and where on our grid. But Michael Moning making good progress here to pick up the first points in the US regional qualifiers here. There's 3 points on the line for pole position. Michael Moning's going the right way about them to claim them.
And without question, the favourite for this main race victory here at Monza. But he will still have to work for it, hopefully. There's a lot of quick drivers starting on the front and second row. We'll run you through the full order when we have qualification of them. They literally just pop up on my screen as we say that. But Michael Moning definitely the favourite, definitely the man to beat, and he's going to be a bubble of confidence heading into this one.
He is, and off the back of that prelim race A, where he managed to just extend the gap bit by bit, lap after lap, and might get a little bit of toe. He might be slightly too far back to benefit from that slipstream, I believe, of Paul Verbunen up ahead. But we see Michael Moning then make his way through Parabolica around the 11th turn of the circuit to make his way towards the start-finish line. He heads, stays right. Will he come into the pit lane? No, he will go ahead and finish off his lap and finish off qualifying, and we'll see how that shakes up the grid. But Michael Moning, who was half a second clear, just slightly more than that at qualifying when we last saw it, we'll see how that shakes up the order.
Yes, a brilliant qualifying there for Moning. We'll have the full results in a moment, but going to be an exciting one, and as Kieran has emphasised, that corner there is the troublemaker on the opening lap. It's 9 times out of 10 caused a few issues. Yesterday, I think, was that 1 time out of 10, so, I'm not a mathematician, but statistics show we're bound to get some form of chaos. Here's how they would start then, and it is Michael Moning, who is on top ahead of Braden Werner in second position. Guapono Patrick there in third, ahead of Kurt van Uitenried in fourth. Ricardo Rivera in fifth, with Tyler Limsnuken starting in sixth. And it's Jordan Johnson in seventh, ahead of Nicholas Iverson in eighth. Aaron Berkey in ninth, and despite him not technically qualifying finishing in the top 10, that's a very impressive performance, ahead of Zach Doran in 10th spot. And Paul Verbunen in 11th, with Drew Swank starting in 12th. Then it's Josh Ross, in 13th, and Brad Lane in 14th. Sebastian Baez in 15th, ahead of Jesse Hoffert in 16th. Then it is Eric Flashpuller in 17th, ahead of Jonathan Moyer in 18th, and Charlie Ewing starting in 19th. And we have official confirmation for all you out there interested in the potential sim rig of Charlie Ewing. Well, he confirmed to us that, in fact, yes, he's not racing on a wheel, he's not racing on a keyboard either, he's on vacation and racing on a controller in a hotel room. I arguably think that's more impressive than pole, Kieran.
You love to see it. You love to see it. He's made his way to Monza in the main race. Let's see what he can do. Can he get that top 15 finish? We'll have to wait and see, but that's a formidable front row. Michael Moning on your right-hand side of the picture in the number 18. Braden Werner in second place. That's how the order was on the front row of the prelim race A. So will we see one and the same? I'm glad to see the likes of Eric Flaspola and Jonathan Moyer pretty much saying are on the same row of the grid, because they gave us a fantastic view of battling there. So great to see, great to watch on, and let's see if we get more of the same. Will they be able to grab a point on that?
Yes, we will have to see as the red lights are getting ready to show. It is Michael Moning on the outside and towards the Varante del Retafilio, and it is Braden Werner on the inside. And for the first main race here in the US region of the HyundaiN Virtual Cup, we go racing in Italy. Brilliant launch from Michael Moning down towards the first corner, but Braden Werner will be looking to challenge. And as they come back on screen, it's the third place man who is looking to make some moves in towards turn number 1. Who is last of the late breakers? It's a very late breaking point for Michael Moning, and he is looking to succeed in towards the first complex. Little bit of nudges, little bit of bumps, and I think there is a car gone round. It's one of the pink cars who has made the mistake. I think it might be Eric Flaspola, but we'll get further confirmation of that as we run round 2 by 2 into the Curva Grande.
Into the Curva Grande we go through the third turn of the circuit as we now make our way towards the Rogers chicane. We're going side by side here for second place as we make our way through that second chicane. Then as the 59 up the inside, riding those curbs, and both of them run slightly wide, that might open up positions further behind, and this is exactly the sort of scenario that Michael Moning wanted. There goes Patrick then around the outside, going in towards the first Lesmo, who might be on the outside. He will be on the outside, heading in towards the second Lesmo as well, as the 54 tries to go up the inside. That's Tyler Limsnuken, who started a little bit further down the order but is very punchy in these early stages. I mean, we will see these drivers further down are very much matched for pace, and we're seeing that right now.
Michael Moning stretching his legs, but there is a lot of pumping and banging behind and racing for position. Brilliant start for Tyler Limsnuken, and a brilliant race start as well for Kwapono Patrick, who is up to second. We'll get further confirmation of the full order as they cross the start-finish line for the first time, but we know who's leading, and that is the number 18. A little bit further back, that's when things get interesting, and there is a dive down the inside. That's the number 54 going for the move. That is Tyler Limsnuken, who's going to try and overtake, and he is now up to third position. Brilliant move from Limsnuken, the former FIA Motorsport Games finalist for Team USA, is putting his experience to the test. Michael Moning leading by almost 5 seconds, disgustingly quick. Ricardo Rivera, the Puerto Rican, with a brilliant race start. Jordan Johnson there in third, and we're free wide in towards the first corner. Patrick, Limsnuken, Van Outenried as well involved in it. Jordan Johnson will come out on top, however, but this is going to be slipstreaming down towards the next chicane.
Brilliant stuff. You just see the 59 of Kwapono Patrick there, just trying to see if he can take advantage. He had the outside line going in towards the first corner there, trying to grab the inside line. It didn't quite happen, but look how close quarter racing this is going to be with the 54 of Tyler Limsnuken, who's got the inside line now, heading our way down in towards the Roger chicane. He tries to be later on the brake, so too does Kwapono Patrick, but makes contact there, and Jordan Johnson has to try and defend this one. This is Patrick now, who's got the inside line, heading our way in towards the first Lesmo. And if you have the inside line here, you normally do get the better line out of the corner. Still, the room is left though, as Limsnuken still tries to get the move done on Patrick, but can't quite do it that time around. Jordan Johnson trying to get the move done, but couldn't quite do it that time around. Again, this is great news if you're Rivera, if you're Limsnuken. If you have the drivers battling behind you, you're able to run away.
Yes, a little bit of an ambitious send in towards the Ferrante della Roggia, but impressive nonetheless. And side by side now is Jordan Johnson and Kwapono Patrick, and Patrick is going to have to cut the chicane a little bit there. Drivers can be ambitious with the track limits. The simulator does allow that, but even still, that was a little bit of a cut there from from Kwapono Patrick, I should say. Had to run offline, and he's lost a couple of positions because of it. We are 2 by 2 in towards the Parabolica, like Noah's Ark we run, and it is still Michael Moning well out in front, but it's a lot closer further behind. Kurt Van Outenried, Jordan Johnson, Kwapono Patrick, Braden Werner, all side by side, and down the main straight we go. We're on board with Zach Doran looking in front, currently in 7th place, started in 10th. Great race start for him. He's looking to gain a few more positions, and with that, a few more points. Darts to the right-hand side, little bit of a weave, looking for the inside line and defending. Johnson leads us into the chicane. Kwapono Patrick looking for the move down the inside. Tyler Limsnuken has got a little bit of a gap in front, but it is side by side between Patrick and Van Outenried.
Yeah, these drivers just have to be careful with clouds at the curves like that. Jordan Johnson lost a little bit of momentum in towards the Retafidio chicane, but we just got a glimpse of how much it bunches up the pack here. This is a battle for what is now 4th place once again, riding on board with Zach Doran as Johnson and Patrick once again trying to go side by side through the Roger chicane. They tried this last lap, it didn't work, but there goes Zach Doran, who takes advantage of Werner being slightly offline. Then Braden Werner, who started this race in 2nd place, is now down to 8th place. Doran fancies another move here on Van Outenried as we make our way through the first Lesmo, back into the second Lesmo. Van Outenried tries to take his spot back, which he does, so Zach Doran up to 7th place, but look at that, Braden Werner is not having this. He wants that 7th place back and make his way back up through the order. Brilliant stuff here from our US region racers so far. Zach Doran feeling the pressure from Werner. He's got to try and hold on to that position and see if he can get another couple of positions. For Zach Doran, for all the other drivers, 4th place is only just up the road.
On board now with Drew Swank, who's trying to attack Paul Verbunen in front. These two, of course, were in different prelims, so they've not raced each other just yet. And they're looking to get familiar with each other in this battle for 9th place. Kwapono Patrick just overtaking Jordan Johnson in front, but that will give Johnson the slipstream down the main straight, so I'm sure there's no issues. There's a big lunge coming from the back there. I'm not sure if that was Paul Verbunen looking for the move, but we can see Jordan Johnson in the number 12 is attacking Kwapono Patrick. just there in front of him in 4th place. And now we will have the weaving down the straight and the slipstream. Jordan Johnson in a brilliant position. You can see there, he is the one on the lower half of the picture-in-picture. That is Quapono Patrick in front, and just staying behind, probably wants that slipstream through the Curva Grande. Zach Doran and Braden Werner not staying behind each other though, and Braden Werner getting past Zach Doran. There's a move for Paul Verburen as well. Josh Ross and the one falling behind.
Yeah, it's all sorts of action in towards those corners there where drivers try to sort themselves out, but we're following right now Jordan Johnson trying to find a way past Quapono Patrick as we head away in towards the Roger chicane. We've seen drivers try moves. We might see a move in the background there between, I think that's Werner and Doran then for position, as Werner and Doran still scrapping away for 7th place. Werner looks up in the lead, but I think that's Josh Ross who's off into the gravel maybe in the background there. He's certainly fallen down the order slightly. We watch on then with Werner, who's now back ahead of Doran, and yes, there is Josh Ross, who's now down to 13th place.
Yeah, very disappointing for Josh Ross, who has fallen behind Nicholas Iverson, and that is he's going to have to drive a little bit of a recovery race here to get back up into the high points paying position. Still picking up a few points for his troubles, but not a large amount to be comfortable heading into day 2. These guys are comfortable but still scrapping at it. Every point might matter when we head on to race day 2 on Sunday evening. Michael Moning up the front still, but it is Ricardo Rivera running an impressive race in 2nd place, and it is Tyler Limbs-Nuken in 3rd, Quapono Patrick in 4th, and it is Jordan Johnson in 5th ahead of Kurt Van Otenried, in 6th Braden Werner, in 7th Zach Doran, in 8th ahead of Drew Swank and Paul Verburen.
If you're in the top 3 right now, you've done very well to just get away from all of the battling behind you, have the race to yourself, have the track to yourself. Michael Moning at the moment leading ahead of Ricardo Rivera in 2nd place, and then in 3rd place it's Limbs-Nuken. So yeah, for Tyler Limbs-Nuken to get away as well in 3rd place, to get away from the likes of Quapono Patrick, who's battling away with Jordan Johnson and Kurt Van Otenried. It's a nice feeling when you've got the track to yourself and you're in that top 3 and running very well.
Yeah, when you have an 8.6 second lead with less than 10 minutes gone, well, I said 8.6 seconds and my heart kind of dropped because that just dropped to 6.1, and I thought that might have been a commentator curse of all curses. But when you do have that significant lead after less than 10 minutes, you are feeling quite comfortable. And I think Ricardo Rivera is growing into his own as well. He is being caught by Tyler Limbs-Nuken, but they're still very comfortable in the top 3. Some of the European guys last night who finished on that podium thought that they were almost qualified with one simple top 3 result. So it's just about picking up the points when you can, and these guys are performing while they can. Here is Michael Moning. We'll get another look at him before he drives off further into the sunset.
Absolutely, yeah. We've got 15 minutes, or 15 and a half minutes if you're going to be picky, with Michael Moning already got about a 9.6 second lead at the moment from Ricardo Rivera, so doing very well indeed. You can see the movers and shakers there. A couple of them getting 3 positions there. In fact, quite a handful of drivers getting 3 positions off the start there. Werner down 5 positions from his starting place, so he's still got work to do to get himself back up the order at this stage of the race. But the problem he's facing now is that he's in a little bit of a battle, or at least he was in a bit of a battle further down. There's Iverson, who was running at the top of prelim race B in 10th place at the moment and feeling the pressure from Verburen behind.
Yeah, he is, and this is not necessarily a fall from grace, but a disappointing revelation for Nicholas Iverson, who won Prelim B, but he's not actually even close to being the top Prelim B driver here in Monza. So the Guna Seca clearly closer to his qualities than Monza is. He's in a scrap now with Paul Verburen for that 10th place. Kurt Van Otenried only 0.3 of a second behind Jordan Johnson, who's only 0.5 of a second behind Quapono Patrick. So we're seeing a little battle develop here for 4th gear.
We are indeed. Quapono Patrick at the head of that battle right now. Of course, top 15 score points in these races. We also get 2 points for the fastest lap of the race. We see Iverson then being chased down by Paul Verboon, and then as we make our way in towards the Roger chicane, battle for 10th place upcoming. Just up ahead of them at the moment is Drew Swank in the number 88, so that will be for 9th place if they can try and catch him. I mean, we did hear from some of our Europe regional drivers yesterday that there may be an element of working together at some point in the race, and you do see those unconventional alliances. But of course, these drivers are all out for themselves. It's an individual championship. So they're not going to be focused about teamwork, they're not going to be focused about anything else. What they are going to be focused on, however, is if they can use the slipstream of each other to close into cars ahead and try and get themselves a further position, they would consider it. It's just a case of who breaks that unconventional alliance first. That's the heartbreaking stuff. Who starts the fighting first towards the end of the race?
Yeah, the only thing about this US region is there's less teammates maybe than Europe. Europe, we saw a lot of teammates in last night's action, but there seems to be a little bit less of it here in the USA region. This is Brad Lane, who you are looking at, part of the Dark Lounge racing team, sporting the number 99. If that is his lounge in the background, it's certainly not dark, a lot of light.
Here is Von Orton-Reed then making his way down in towards the first chicane, then chasing down Jordan Johnson, who in turn is trying to chase down Quapono Patrick. In saying this though, Tyler Limsnooken has started to close in and closed into less than a second behind Rivera then, so that might be a battle for second place that might be developing in the second half of this race. We are halfway through our allotted time of this race. We're riding on board then with Von Orton-Reed as we make our way towards the Roger chicane. But yeah, definitely keep one eye on that battle for second place, because Limsnooken has started to eat into that gap to Rivera.
Yeah, and remember, it's 20 points for second, 16 for third, so in the grand scheme of things, that is a significant jump. The jump from first to second is only 5 points, so 4 points is a significant difference, especially in such a close cup and such a close championship. So Tyler Limsnooken is going to be doing absolutely everything that he can. The driver for Distinct GG and a student and currently studying at UCLA. He's an intelligent man and an intelligent driver on the circuit. Brilliant performance from Limsnooken here in Monza so far. Compared to where he was in Laguna Seca, this pace has been well improved.
Yeah, it has, and sometimes you get diamonds that are formed under pressure. In these pressure scenarios where points now are on the board, you've got points on the line, every position here will matter in the grand scheme of things to make sure you make it into the semi-finals. You've got to make sure you score all the points you can, and we're going 3 wide here on the run up towards Parabolica. I think that's a Josh Ross sandwich there as we make our way up towards the final corner. This looks like it's going to be very close. Zach Doran on the outside there, trying to make her way through. I think that's Brad Lane also involved in it as well. Josh Ross comes out on top for now in the battle for 12th place, and then on the right hand side of the picture in the number 10 is Zach Doran, and it's Brad Lane in the purple 99 as they make their way down the start finish straight. 3 wide in towards Parabolica. I've never seen it work out as well as that.
No, that was rather successful for what they were trying to do. Are they going to try go 3 wide once again? No, they won't, and Zach Doran will be in front of this one. Oh, and that's not successful. There's our incident into the first chicane. That's Josh Ross, who's been the victim there, and he's going to be very careful not to lose another position to Sebastian Baez right behind, but he has recovered just in front. I think Baez will be coming into picture soon. There is Sebastian Baez right behind, as well as Jonathan Moyer. So Josh Ross, disappointing for the 25. He's down to 14th after that one.
Yeah, but didn't lose any further positions, so he's still within the points, and he's still got less than 10 minutes on the clock to try and catch up to the like of Brad Lane to see if he can find another way past. There's the number 12, so that's Jordan Johnson, 5th place right now, trying to see if he can find a way past Quapono Patrick. Not been successful so far, but still time on his side, as again Limsnooken really closing in to Rivera here in the battle for second place. But yeah, you can see, I think this is your battle for fourth place, involving a good handful of drivers there as they all now make their way up towards the final corner.
9 minutes 19 left on the clock. It is Michael Moaning dominant in front, Ricardo Rivera in second, with Tyler Limsnuken there in third, Quapono Patrick in fourth, and then this man Jordan Johnson in fifth, and then it is Kurt von Otenried in sixth position ahead of Braden Werner in seventh. Nicholas Nielsen is in eighth, with Drew Swank in ninth and Paul Verbunen in 10th. Good race this from Drew Swank as well. He's another man outperforming his Laguna Seca pace, and he's picking up some strong points there in ninth position.
Yeah, he is, and the prelim races were a case of making sure you're in the top 10. Now you've made it into the feature race, the main race, you've got points on the line. That's where some drivers will really make sure they put everything on the line. And yeah, there are going to be some tracks you're going to be strong at, some tracks you might not be consider your strongest, but certainly for Frank here, Monza is treating him very, very well indeed. He's got Iverson just up ahead of him as well. And if he could try and make that move, that's a couple of extra points in the back pocket, riding on board the front left wheel then of Jordan Johnson as we make our way through in towards the first Lesmo. Still looking at the back of Quapono Patrick as we make our way through that first Lesmo towards the second Lesmo. And just up ahead of them is the battle for second place, as Ricardo Rivera has been closed in by Tyler Limsnuken, but it's just a case of Rivera's keeping Limsnuken just at that arm's length. Limsnuken can't quite get close enough to try and see if he can find a move on Rivera, so Rivera at this stage is comfortable at keeping it at arm's length, because at the moment Limsnuken just can't quite get close enough to see if he can try a move.
Yeah, Ricardo Rivera, the only representative of the Puerto Rico e-racing team here in the HyundaiNVirtualCup in the USA region, certainly. And I tell you what, he's doing a good job. There's a bit of a Ricardo train on display here in Monza as they head into the Parabolica, but he's not faltered just yet. He has not made a mistake. I'm hoping I haven't cursed him, but he has been very, very good. Tyler Limsnuken in third, Quapono Patrick in fourth, and Jordan Johnson and Kurt van Otenried are all on your screen currently, exceptionally close here for the big points paying positions. And these guys, they're at a stalemate for the time being, but trust me, the anxiety is going to kick in soon, and they will start considering some brave overtakes.
Oh, they will indeed. Limsnuken already trying to just extract as much power as he can, try and get the throttle down early out of the second corner as we make our way through in towards Curva Grande, the third corner of the circuit. It's pretty much full throttle in most machines through the Curva Grande. It's got that slight ranking inwards of the circuit there as we watch on then for a battle for 16th place here. This is Moya and Berkey battling away for position then, as we did see some flashes of really good battling earlier on. Aaron Berkey made his way through to penalties, so he's made his way onto the grid here. He might make his way up another position down in towards the Rettifilio chicane, but von Otenried here chasing Jordan Johnson. Jordan Johnson just has to be careful here. He's been focusing on attack on Quapono Patrick to try and find a way past, but in his rear view mirrors is Kurt von Otenried, who's ready to pick up the pieces. And yeah, Jordan Johnson has slightly fallen back on Quapono Patrick. This might be a chance for von Otenried to launch an attack.
Yes, Jordan Johnson, a racing prodigy practice squad member, another driver with a lot of experience under pressure from the Sidewinder driver of Kurt van Otenried. And these guys are going to scrap for the final 5.5 minutes. That is for sure. What positions will they end up in? Only time will tell, but it is Michael Moaning who's looking like he's driving home to the finish. And 18 or so seconds as they cross the line now between Michael and Ricardo. But that doesn't necessarily mean that Ricardo hasn't driven a great race. Absolutely has. Michael just on a different planet here tonight, Kieran.
Yeah, Lim Snooken really close now to Rivera. Watch out for Van Ortenried as well, looking for a move against Jordan Johnson. There's moves further back. Johnson has to defend the inside line. Van Ortenried trying to find that line, but couldn't quite do it. And on the exit then of the Retifido chicane, Jordan Johnson stays ahead. Ricardo Rivera actually pulling away from Tyler Lim Snooken on that point. Quapono Patrick is now right on Lim Snooken's tail as we make our way through Curva Grande. Perhaps an opportunity for Quapono Patrick to find a move down the inside in towards the Rogers chicane. He's got the inside line. It'll turn into the outside line on the exit of the corner as both of them make their way through, but it is Lim Snooken who comes out on top.
Yes, both taking an unconventional line really there. You can see Tyler Lim Snooken on the picture-in-picture as well as Quapono Patrick right behind. Ricardo Rivera has been given a little bit of breathing room. They were all breathing down his neck a few minutes ago, but he's been given a little bit of room to stretch his legs for the time being, and he drives under the old Monza banking down the Curva del Seraglio and in towards the Ascari chicane. Tyler Lim Snooken under pressure. Quapono Patrick knocking on the door, but there's no move yet from Quapono. He's probably going to have to wait for maybe turn number 1 if the slipstream is strong down towards the Parabolica, or the now known as the Curva Alboreto. He might have a look, and he is having a look. Quapono Patrick opting for the outside line and going to try and fling it the long way here. A difficult move to pull off, but it's side by side in towards Parabolica. 59, 54, still side by side. Dead evens on the apex. Lim Snooken heads in front. You can see a lot of shake on the wheel, dips a wheel on the grass even. Very close indeed. Now they're going to go ducking and diving down the main straight. Jordan Johnson, opportunistic as ever, trying to get past the pair of them. They're squabbling over each other, and now it could well be 3 wide into the first chicane. Disastrous potentially if they do so, and it could be detrimental to this race. Jordan Johnson tries the long way around the outside but couldn't turn in as Tyler Lim Snooken was there. That saves Lim Snooken on this day. Lim Snooken leads Johnson, leads Patrick.
Yeah, good move from Jordan Johnson there. Managed to get the move done. Managed to just about slow down the car in time. Might have cost him a position in terms of challenging Lim Snooken, but it got him ahead of Quapono Patrick. And you see Quapono Patrick now looking for a move down the inside in towards the Roger chicane. At the very next point of battle then, Jordan Johnson managing to keep a hold of that position. And that is Quapono Patrick following behind, as well as Van Ortenried. And Lim Snooken just cannot get away at the moment from this battling pack behind him. This is a place on a podium here in this regional race of the USA here in Monza, as we are now down to just about 2 minutes left of this race. We haven't got long left, and this is where the strategy comes into play now. We've known that slipstream is very, very strong around Monza. Do you want to be defending on the final lap, or do you want to be attacking? Well, Jordan Johnson won't care about that right now. He's looking for a move around the outside in towards the beginnings of the Ascari chicane and gets the move done then. Brilliant stuff from Jordan Johnson. Moves himself now up into 3rd place, and look at Quapono Patrick looking to try and take full advantage.
Ricardo Rivera is gone with the wind, but the rest of them are squabbling for the final podium place. A brilliant move from Jordan Johnson. How can Lim Snooken and Patrick respond? Can Kurt Van Ortenried maybe have a response here as well, or even an initial statement? They're too wide on the exit of the corner. Quapono Patrick is an eager beaver to try and get past Tyler Lim Snooken. Van Ortenried is just biding his time behind, and Jordan Johnson is the man providing the slipstream to Tyler Lim Snooken as they head down towards the first corner. Quapono Patrick in 4th place now. He's just about ahead of Lim Snooken. Can he break later than him? Tyler going to try and fling it round the outside. He still keeps it there. He still keeps it there. There's the 54. Little bit of a shoulder barge on Quapono Patrick. Kurt Van Ortenried is able to get through as well, and Van Ortenried fancies a double heading through the Curva Grande. Does he? Is he able to get further alongside? You can just see the 51 running the 05, trying it round the outside, heading in towards the Curva della Roggia, or the Verante della Roggia, I should say. Last of the late breakers, Kurt Van Ortenried not able to get close enough alongside. Once again, Tyler Lim Snooken has survived.
How much longer? Van Autenried right up the inside, then heading in towards the first Lesmo. We ride on board then with Quapono Patrick as Van Autenried does get his way through then, and look at Patrick taking full advantage of this one up the inside of Lim Snooken. There's door-to-door contact there, and Lim Snooken comes out on top. Patrick has to bide his time there. We have now the timer expired, so we'll keep an eye on Michael Moning, but a brilliant battle for a last spot in the top three.
An incredible final lap here at the main race in Monza. We almost don't want it to end. Michael Moning is rounding through the final part of the track here to win the main race of the HyundaiN Virtual Cup. The master of Monza is Michael Moning here in race day one of the USA Regional Qualifiers of the HyundaiN Virtual Cup. But who's going to get third? Who's going to get fourth? Ricardo Rivera comes home in second. They're side by side heading into the Parabolica, the final corner. Tyler Lim Snooken seems to have dropped behind Kurt Van Autenried, and I think he has, or Quapono Patrick is going to come home in sixth. It'll be Jordan Johnson, or what's happened to Jordan Johnson? No, Jordan Johnson's still there in fourth. Timing glitch error. He is still in fourth, or second or third, I should say. Apologies. Kurt Van Autenried there in fourth. Oh, what an ending here in Monza. It was worth the wait.
That was brilliant fun. Brilliant stuff for the top three battle there. And, well, in these closed cockpits cars and these, well, you could call them tin tops if you really want to be broad about it. But you do get a little bit of door-to-door contact from time to time. But there was good amount of respect between these drivers. Really good racing. Really great fun to watch. And, yeah. More of the same, please, next time around, USA. You have absolutely started off your regional qualifiers on the right foot. Brilliant to watch.
I don't want to put the regions against each other, but I think that might have been a tad little bit more entertaining than Europe last night. A brilliant, brilliant race. Very, very enjoyable to watch. And we will have your full race results now. It is Michael Moning, who didn't really get to see any of that at the front, disappointingly, but a dominant drive from him. Ricardo Rivera in second, Jordan Johnson in third, and Kurt Van Autenried in fourth, Tyler Lim Snooken in fifth. Quapono Patrick comes home in sixth, Braden Werner in seventh, Nicholas Iverson in eighth, Drew Swank takes ninth, Jesse Hoffert in 10th, Paul Verbunen in 11th, with Zach Doran in 12th, Brad Lane in 13th, Josh Ross, I should say, in 14th. Aaron Berkey will pick up the final point in 15th position. Jonathan Moyer in 16th, ahead of Silvio Mancone in 17th, Eric Flassbuller in 18th, and Charlie Ewing rounds us off in 19th position. What a brilliant, brilliant race that was. I can't emphasise how enjoyable that was.
It was really good fun. I mean, full credit to our top three, well, battle for the top three, and Jordan Johnson, Kurt Van Autenried, and Tyler Lim Snooken, Quapono Patrick as well in that battle. Ricardo Rivera was just about involved in that battle in the latter stages. What was a battle for second place, but he managed to take advantage of those squabbling behind him to just get further and further up the road and secure that second place. So he did a great job of getting away from that. But what a battle for that place in the top three. That last podium spot is so important in your point scoring tally. All of them deserved it, but only one of them could have come away with it.
Obviously, myself and Kieran would love to talk about that battle for the rest of time, but a big talking point here tonight is Michael Moning. He's one of the favourites for this cup now, undisputably.
Yeah, and a way to get it off the right foot, you know. We will yet to confirm if he's got the fastest lap. I would be very surprised if he didn't. We might have had our first full house, but certainly got the pole position, so that's 3 points there. Got the 25 points for the race win, so already he's got himself right jolly on the right foot. Yeah, and 28 points at least. Could be a little bit more for Michael Moning, and he's in a comfortable position heading into next week. I'm not going to say he can relax physically, but metaphorically he's in a very comfortable position. Yeah, I don't think he'll be taking it too easy. No top driver will take it easy at any point. They will push to their maximum, and you just never know what might happen in the next race. You just don't know. So for Michael's sake, he's just got to keep pushing on, and if he can get another sweep like that, another fantastic lead, a fantastic qualifying session like that again, then there's no limit to what he can do.
Yeah, and we have confirmation coming into us now, Kieran, that Michael Moning did take the fastest lap. So that is the maximum for Michael. First maximum of the HyundaiN Virtual Cup. That is 30 points for him. Even more comfortable than 20 seconds ago, potentially.
Yeah, well, yeah, it puts it in the full perspective. We've seen our first full sweep now of points so far in the HyundaiN Virtual Cup. So Michael Moning has put himself in a great position. Is it guaranteed? Maybe. We heard from some of the Europe drivers yesterday as well, saying that, you know, the 28 points might be good enough. It's just a case of finishing it off in a neat little bow. Michael might be feeling the same, but with the pace that he's got, he's not going to let back at any point. He's just going to keep pushing and pressing on.
Well, he had some amount of pace. Let's hear what he has to say then. Michael Moning, we will be heading for an interview with him now. Hello, Michael, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Unbelievable from you tonight. From start to finish, absolutely excellent. Just talk us through that from your perspective.
Yeah, pretty solid from my perspective. Qualifying went pretty good, pretty along plans. Just do a nice easy lap. Yesterday I was looking at the EU races, and I was getting a little scared about my pace. But coming in today, had some good confidence and really delivered. Especially Monza, I put a lot of time into that. And I'm happy to see I pretty good relative pace to EU, if not this lobby, obviously. So really happy with how things went.
Yeah, I love the comparison to EU. Obviously, somewhere in the back of your mind, then you have a trip to South Korea planned.
I've been thinking about it for sure.
Picking out a few T-shirts, like that. I don't mean to put any pressure on you, but would you say, without a doubt, you're destined to qualify for the next round? Then?
I think, barring something catastrophic, I can pretty happily say I'd be in the next round. I'd like to think that, and I mean, looking forward, or if I do make the final, then I'd like to know that I could compete with the people there too. So, yeah.
A bit about the car then. Obviously, this is a new car to Assetto Corsa. How are you finding the Elantra?
It's really interesting. I'm big on ACC right now, obviously GT3 stuff. So the front wheel drive is really throwing me off. I just obviously understeer is what you're combating in the front wheel drive. So you got to do some interesting things with the setup to make it work. And once you get a flow, like, it's really nice. Like Monza, really solid with this car. I think it is a really enjoyable hot lap, this car at Monza. But it's so different compared to a GT3 in the way you can take the curbs. But yeah, really combating the understeers is the big thing of this thing. But it's really fun when you get the hang of it.
Yeah, you mentioned that it's so different. Would you have any words of advice to potentially anyone out there who's looking to prepare for next year's HyundaiN Virtual Cup?
Just make sure you're getting everything that you can out of the front tires. You gotta drive safe, because sometimes the rear will come around. So you gotta drive obviously on the limit, not past it, but really make sure you're making the most of the fronts and the paces there.
Michael, once again, congratulations, and thank you very much for joining us for the interview.
Thank you very much. Hope to talk to you again.
We look forward to hearing from Michael again then, and I can safely say without question, we will hear from Michael Moning again. Incredible job from him tonight, taking both the Prelim A race victory and the main race victory, pole, and fastest lap. Let's move on to our next interview then, and I believe we're going to hear from Kurt Van Otenried, the man who finished 4th in that battle. The incredible little squabble we had for the last couple of laps here in Monza, and that was a great battle. We had Ricciardo involved in it, we had Tyler Limsnuka involved in it, and it really It really is one to remember. It's one that we will be thinking about for quite some time. Hello, Kurt. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Hello.
Congratulations on fourth place. Just a step off the podium. Were you looking to take that P3 come the end?
I think when... So I didn't have the greatest of starts in P4. Fell back and then had to fight the way through. But with how powerful the toe is, right, and the characteristics of the track, right, and you see the gaps and you see everyone's kind of towing each other along, you can. I kind of had a feeling that something would kick off in the fight for second and third, for that matter. So, yeah, I think it was definitely in my mind. I mean, it's one thing for all the cars to be close, right? It's another thing to actually get the move done. And I think we saw that right towards the end, where people kind of were holding their cards close to their chest and then would make moves towards the end. But yeah, I was pretty happy to get 2 out of the 3 moves done, so to speak. But yeah, it does hurt a little bit just to be that little bit off. So.
Yeah, obviously you were looking to take third place, but an incredible fight. We loved it up in the broadcast booth. Surely as a driver you enjoy little squabbles like that.
Yeah, that was definitely a squabble where over the microphone I'm just kind of shouting like, come on, come on.
So was I, funnily enough.
I mean, yeah, it was just one lap to go, and the track is narrower than it looks, right? And these cars being front-wheel drive, you can't just send it down the inside and hope to get a better exit, so to speak, because the car's just so planted. But yeah, definitely pumped. I think even in the cool-down room, started with the other guys, and they were saying they were also pretty they were pretty thrilled with just the quality of the racing, right? The side-by-side. So yeah, it was pretty sick.
And then, of course, heading into the next race day, you're in a good position. Well, from my opinion, anyways, to qualify for the regional semi-finals. What's your mindset heading into day 2?
So to be honest, being on wheel and pedals isn't actually my first choice of input, so to speak. I'm actually a Forza Motorsport player. I usually play on a controller, so this is semi-forward. I did this for a little bit, like a year ago, and then I kind of dropped it, but then I kind of picked it back up because I saw this competition. So I was a little nervous in terms of like the experience and everything, but now having done all this, it kind of paints a picture, so to speak, of terms of where I'm at. And there were definitely things on my side that I was most certainly not happy with. So I'll definitely keep those in the back of my mind and yeah, work on those for Sunday, and then hopefully the regionals afterwards if I get that far. So.
Really great insight, Kurt. Thank you very much for joining us, and congratulations on 4th place.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Great to hear from Kurt, the Forza Motorsport player there, and 4th place tonight in the main race here in Monza. We will have one more interview coming up from you first, or coming up for you, folks, I should say. It will be with Ricardo Rivera, who finished in 2nd place. Hello, Ricardo. Can you hear?
Yes, I can hear you guys.
Congratulations on 2nd. No 2nd place in the prelim, but you upped your performance heading into Monza. What changes did you make to find such pace?
Well, actually, I didn't have a lot of time to practice or prepare for both races, and I think Monza being like less of a technical track, it was just I think my personal best in the qualifying locally. Lap I think I will be very hard to repeat, and anything can happen in turn 1 of Monza, and it paid off in my favor.
We had a brilliant battle for 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th there come the end of the race. Were you a little bit delighted to be just in front of that?
Yeah, totally delighted, but they were closing by really quick. They were gaining like a 10th or 2/10 every single lap, and I was like every time looking at how much time was remaining in the race and praying a little bit for the race to finish and trying to be consistent.
We were speaking to Michael and Kurt earlier, and they've both had to make differences to both their driving style and even in Kurt's case, his physical equipment heading into this HyundaiN Virtual Cup. How have you prepared yourself for this campaign?
Yeah, totally very different to what I'm used to. I play basically ACC, and this is my first time driving any front-wheel drive car. So it was a good challenge for the series. I know that Acero Corsa tends to attract more players, and it will be like a new challenge for me to get used to some other tracks that I haven't raced in a while, and especially a totally different car to what I'm accustomed to.
Looking forward to the next race day then?
Oh, yes, of course. Let's hope it goes like this race day.
Ricardo, thank you very much for joining us, and best of luck in race day 2, and congratulations on the podium.
Thank you very much. Pleasure.
I'll find this so unique.
Yeah, I mean, it's been an enjoyable first couple of races. The US race was absolutely brilliant. Loved watching it. And yeah, as we heard from Ricardo then, very glad he wasn't a part of that battle, he said, towards the end there. I can see why, because, I mean, it was great racing behind, the squabble for third place, door to door. You do expect a bit of contact in these closed cockpits kind of races, but on the whole, very respectful racing. And I mean, I'm hoping we get more racing like that in the future. It was absolutely brilliant to watch.
Yes, let's have a look at our podium once again then before we leave off here. It was, of course, Michael Moning out on top, Ricardo Rivera in second, and then Jordan Johnson coming home in third, the winner of that battle after it all. Would you consider this a deserved podium tonight, Kieran?
I think whoever finished on that podium would have thoroughly deserved it. I mean, Michael Moning absolutely had the pace and, flew away with it. You had Ricardo Rivera saying that, that was the best lap he'd ever did in qualifying, but he backed it up with that race pace. He had people closing on him towards the end, but he managed to extend that gap with the squabbling behind. And to be honest with you, whoever was going to take that third place spot would have absolutely thoroughly deserved it. And Jordan Johnson on that occasion did enough on that final lap to grab that final spot.
Yes, a really mighty job indeed. Before we wrap up, Kieran, any final thoughts on tonight?
More racing like that, please. That was absolutely brilliant to watch on. And I can't say it enough. It was brilliant to watch, and hopefully it was as fun for you to watch at home.
Yes, hopefully it was. And we thank you very much for joining us here tonight, folks, on the HyundaiN Virtual Cup. We've had our first EU race day. We've had our first US race day. And thankfully, that's literally just the beginning. We'll be returning on Saturday for the EU Regional Qualification race day number 2. USA Regional Qualification returns on Sunday, folks, so we can't wait to see you all back here. A big thanks, of course, to all our partners, which you can see below myself and Kieran here on the screen. And, of course, a big thanks, as always, to those who make it happen behind the scenes. But from us, from Kieran McGinney alongside me, and from myself, Evan Dalton, thank you very much for joining us. We will be back very soon. Stay safe, stay well, and we shall see you next time. Bye-bye. And we go racing here in Italy. It's a brilliant launch, but he can have some shit. Maximilian Benecke wins the first main race in the HyundaiN Virtual Cup, and he's one step on his way to the regional semi-finals. 25 points to win, 3 points for pole position. Benecke beats them all.